Hey guys, welcome back to Brake Stand Garage. Today, I'm actually going to show you how I'm going to go through and diagnose this oil leak in, this new motor. So, for those who don't know, this is just my '89 Corvette. I LS turbo swapped, and I hurt the old motor, so I put a new one in over the winter, and now, after driving for a couple weeks, I noticed that there's a lot of oil dripping from the pan. At first, I noticed that my drain plug actually was not that tight, so that's a huge oopsies on me to be in a rush to get it done. But I tightened that up, and it's still leaking just as much. Not from the drain plug, but somewhere. So if I'm like ripping on it hard, it seems to be worse because it'll blow all the oil up over the exhaust and it smokes. So with the time that I put into this thing, I don't want to have to deal with a leaky engine. So I'm going to get this thing jacked up, get under there, wipe everything up clean, and then I actually have this dye kit that I'm going to put in the oil, and then it has a little, I think it's like a little black light that I shine under there and try and pinpoint where the oil's coming from. Should be pretty easy, but I'll get this thing lifted and get you guys under there. Alright guys, I got the car up in the air. A little peek at what I got going on under the hood if nobody's seen this yet. Got my spinny thing up there. But honestly, I suspect there's a turbo oil feed line going in above the oil filter. I think it might be leaking there, but I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's not the oil pan. And I'm hoping that I'm not just pressurizing the crankcase. I gotta get a longer hose to go to my catch can on this side so I can actually run it under some stuff. But I got that valve cover venting into the catch can, and this side of the catch can should be a vent as well, or you can send it right into the filter, but I'm gonna vent this one, that one into the catch can as well right here. So yeah, I'm getting a little moisture in that, just water, no coolant, not really any oil. But we'll slide on under here and I'll show you what we got going on. You can already see I have puddles, like, small puddles of oil dripping off the bell housing. And guys, always put jack stands down and then put some weight on them so if something happens, they don't just, crush you. So I see oil up there, get a light. I'm really hoping my catch can's enough and it's not pressurizing the oil system. But there's oil in that bolt, oil pretty much all the way around the oil pan gasket. Yep, so we'll see what happens. It's my inlet to my, or whatever, the return for the turbo. Not as much oil over here, nothing dripping. I mean, that's my plug, which hindsight, I should have probably run that into that plug, but whatever. We'll see where it's leaking. I mean, I got oil everywhere, even all over my starter, but not above my starter. So I gotta figure this out. I mean, initially I think oil pan gasket, because I don't see any oil leaking from the front seal. It's not wet really above the pan at all, other than on that starter side. But then I got this thing, which is pretty wet. So I'm wondering if while I'm ripping around, this is dripping down all over this filter and then the air moving it around. But we'll find out today, because I will be able to pinpoint it. It's not coming from my dipstick at all, so that's good. I did put a new seal on that. This I'll verify with a wrench, but it feels tight. It's not finger loose. But yeah, she's dripping pretty good right here, so. Alright. Well, let's go put some dye in it, start her up, let her idle for a while. it says to run the car for 10 minutes. So that's what I'll do. Should be able to see where that comes from. Honestly, I'm gonna need an oil cooler for this real soon too. So the instructions say 1 ounce for every 5 quarts. I have 7 quarts in here. Should be fine. If I have any issue finding the dye, then I'll just put another half bottle or so in here. But as you can see, it says oil and fluid dye, so that's what you're gonna use. Just out of pure curiosity. Oh wow, that's gonna be super obvious, guys. Wow. So I'll see if I can get you guys to kind of see what I'm seeing. You see that where I poured it in there? That's pretty cool. That's a lot brighter than I thought it would be. So this should be no problem finding this oil leak. All right, well, I guess I can start her up. I don't have a neutral safety switch, so I always have to double check that I'm in neutral because she will jump. Got my Corvette keys. All right. Well. All right. Well, I'll see if I can get you guys under there and show you where I found the leaks. It's overlook on my part. My last engine I didn't leak in the spot, which I'm completely surprised now that I'm thinking about it. But let me get the glasses on you, and I'll show you exactly where she's leaking. Now that I have this issue, it's completely obvious. So it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you can see that. It's leaking up around these bolts. And a lot out of this one over here. Like that bolt. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can. She's leaking a lot of orange around those main cap bolts. So it's not my oil pan gasket. It is my main caps. Almost all of them too. The exterior bolts. Hard to see with right now, but when I put the glasses on myself, I don't know how it looks through the camera, but when I put them on myself, it's completely obvious. So they just keep popping up around all that. Even like right here, because a little gasket, I thought it was like on something to do with my starter, or like above my starter, but it runs down this side because the starter bolt is touching the gasket. So the oil runs out of that main bolt up there on the side and down onto the gasket, and then wicks from the gasket onto that bolt. So I'm surprised I haven't seen any drop on the dipstick. It must be minuscule, but before I drive that anymore, it's kind of a fire hazard, especially as hot as my exhaust gets. So before I drive that anymore, I gotta pull those out, put RTV on them. People were saying gray RTV. I have black, gray, all the colors really. So I gotta figure it out. I might just put some black RTV on there. So I'm gonna pull those bolts out. I gotta take the starter off, pull the bolts out, and clean them up really good so the RTV has something to bond to, so it's not just, you know, so I don't put RTV on the oil. But I'm gonna go ahead, get that sealed up, and let you guys know if that completely fixes all my oil leaks. I didn't see anything else in there, so I'll get on that and we'll see you in a few minutes. Alright guys, I just took this on a three and a half hour round trip. I don't know if you can see, but there's not a drop of oil on that pan. So that is awesome. Very exciting. It runs good. I got it at 12 pounds boost. I think it's like maybe like I think it's at like 14 degrees of timing at 12 pounds of boost or something like that. So I think it's pretty conservative. I just run 93 in it. The oil pressure has dropped down a little bit as the oil breaks in. But it's clean. You know, it's got probably 800 miles on it so far. So it's like, look at that. I mean, that's clean oil. That's 800 miles. Not dropping at all. I feel like if I had a massive issue or anything, it'd be you know, we'd know about it. But fuel, heard something drop. So when I first did the oil change and the engine swap and all that, it was at like 40 degrees cold, 45 degrees idle cold, or cooler. And then as it warmed up, it approached like 32 to 35 pounds of oil pressure, and now she's rated at, then for a while it dipped down to like 26, 27 pounds the more I drove it. Then I just went on that long haul, and on the way back at idle, it was at like 21 to 22 pounds oil pressure at 800 RPM. But oil pressure climbs with the RPMs. So cruising, I see like 30 at like 2000 RPM. I see 30 pounds oil pressure. That's great in my opinion. I'm just used to having that Melling high volume pump on the other engine. But yeah, one thing I wanted to check, so I got this. My cables have started to collapse on themselves, so they no longer work. So I have this just as a backup, so I can pop my hood, but I need to get some new cables. And let's check, I got this oil catch can. It's not really wet around here. This was from before I had this hooked up, so that's what this wetness is. But the filter doesn't feel wet or damp, and I think we are collecting a little bit of fluid. So I figured we could check, see what I got, see if it's oil, see if it's moisture. So kind of, if you can see that. Oop, a lot of water. Maybe a little bit of oil in there too. Alright. So, looks like some water, looks like some oil. We'll bring her over to the Porsche. Get my fingers on it. Yeah, it feels like milky water. I mean, what do you guys think about that? I think it's mostly just water and then like the tiniest little bit of oil in there, but a little bit of water. A little bit of gas. But other than that, I mean, I don't think it's too bad. The oil in the crankcase doesn't smell like gas, so. But it's like a tiny bit of gas, a little bit of oil. But that's mostly water. So I'm gonna go properly dispose of that. Anybody that's been following me for this Porsche stuff finally got back to this. I've gotten the timing belt and everything off. And I was gonna slap the other one on, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, you know what, let's just do this seal that's right here, this cam seal. There's a little bit of moisture down there. So I'm like, I'm gonna do that. But then I started looking, and there's even more moisture down there. Since I'm this far into it, I need to pull the balance shaft pulley, the timing belt pulley, and then I gotta pull a few things, and I might just We'll see what that the gear, the seal surface on the oil pump gear looks, and if it looks okay, like I can't feel anything, I'll just get a new seal. But if that surface is junk, then I'm gonna have to get a new seal for it. Seals are cheap, so I mean, that's okay. So other than that, she runs good. It's not mixing coolant or oil. Mint. But that's about it, guys. I mean, the channel, things are running good in the channel. Other than the Porsche, there's not a whole lot to do. So I'm gonna bring this thing to a couple street nights. Maybe do some, you know, highway pulls with some people in Mexico. I don't know, we'll see. But what do you guys want to see this channel do? I mean, I don't have a ton of followers, but there's 700 of you guys, and possibly girls. So I can buy another one of these, fix it, keep it stock. You know, a fixer upper and go through that. I can build a LS work truck thing, race that. So guys, let me know what you want to see down below in the comments as far as content for the channel. And as long as I break even and I'm entertaining you guys, that's all that really matters to me. But I do look forward to seeing you guys' input in the comments. And until then, we'll see you on the next video.